I apologize for being late, guys. Apologize. About 10 minutes late. Sorry, I was just getting some stuff going. Finished my bike ride. Running a little behind today, so I apologize for that. Let's see. I'm missing something. Oh, it's my music. We're gonna do music today because I'm gonna read Reversing Hermon. So, good morning. I hope everyone's having a good Saturday. I'm gonna just test the audio a little bit and see how things are going. And so I'll start with that and just back and forth for a little bit and see how things are going. And so it's a little loud, but that is because of me. I'm turned up too high. No problems there. Adjusting. Let's see how reading goes.
And the primary sin is marriage with humans and procreation of giants. The Watchers beget giants on earth by their union with human women. Out of these giants come evil spirits that lead humanity astray. 1 Enoch 15:11-12. This motif is elaborated further in Jubilee. Out of these giants come evil spirits that lead humanity astray. 1 Enoch 15:11-12. This motif is elaborated further in Jubilee.
I don't think that's too bad. I'm going to talk over him while he's talking to me.
And the primary sin is marriage with humans and
Here
procreation
I
of giants.
am, testing.
The Watchers beget giants on earth by their union with human women.
Testing,
Out of these giants come
testing.
evil spirits that lead humanity astray. 1 Enoch 15:11-12.
Hello, hello.
This motif
Test,
is elaborated further in
test.
Jubilees.
Testing.
Spirits that lead humanity astray. 1 Enoch 15:11.
Hello, hello.
This motif is
Test,
elaborated
test.
further in Jubilees.
Testing.
Spirits that lead humanity.
Okay, I'm going to turn him up just a tad. And I think we'll be gold. We will be absolute gold, I think. Alrighty, well, I hope everyone is having a good Saturday. I finished my sermon prep yesterday, so I actually don't need to do any of that today. And so I think what I'm going to do is read Reversing Hermon. And my goal here is to just go through this and get a better understanding of stuff, because he talks about Genesis chapter 6, and I'll be preaching on that topic tomorrow. I already got my whole outline done, so there are no worries in that regard. But I could finally learn some stuff. So that's the direction I think I'm going to go today. First, we got to figure out how to download a better system narrator, because this guy is tough. Let's see. Custom narrator in Windows 10. Of course, this one says you gotta pay. System narrator. General settings. I just want something better than this dude.
A very short apocalypse of weeks.
Right.
1:11-17 follows. Its similarity to Daniel 9:24-27 is obvious. The short portion records what Enoch saw in a heavenly vision and understood from the tablets of heaven. The vision explains how future history.
I mean, he's trying his best, but I'm just not feeling him. So let's see. Windows Control N. The narrator. Here he is. System narrator. See, we're using Microsoft David right now. That's
Saw in a
his.
heavenly vision and understood from the tablets of heaven. The vision explains how future history will be divided into 10 weeks, presumably weeks of years as in Daniel 9:24-27. The weeks
See,
describe
I don't know.
the judgment of the Watchers. The Epistle of Enoch 9.
I don't know if I want David. Let's mess around with these. What do I got? Here, let's try 0. Do I need to apply?
Saw in a heavenly vision and understood from the tablets of heaven. The vision explains how future history will be divided into 10 weeks.
Maybe I have to restart Mr. Narrator now. Read to me.
Saw in a heavenly vision and understood from the tablets of heaven.
It's still
The vision
David.
explains how future history will be divided.
Maybe I have to apply here. Zira. I don't know if Zira's any good, but we're gonna try. Now how do I confirm? Maybe I have to reopen Logos? Let's try it. Hate to kill Logos, but let's try it. We're gonna figure this out. I'm confident. Let's get this open again. Reversing Hermon. Boom. I'm locked up. Hopefully not for too long. There we go. And let's try again. Read to me, Zira. That's the goal.
Genesis 6, 1 through 4.
David
I'm
still.
going to reproduce a good bit of this portion of the Book of the Watchers in what remains of this chapter.
Still David. Let's check out word by word indicator. I might be stuck with David. He's not the worst. I mean, I've heard worse, but I feel like he could be better too. That's my struggle. See. I think that changing this isn't affecting it. Select narrator. Read aloud to me.
And to teach them sorcery and charms, and to reveal to them the cutting of roots and plants. And they conceived from them and bore to the
It's
great
the same
giants.
guy.
And the giants begot Nephilim, and to the Nephilim were born.
It's the same guy. Let's try. I guess there are a lot of options anyway. I'm gonna have to stick with David, I think. Not getting it to change. Okay. Not getting it to change. Let's just open some notes so I can write down things that are important. And I'm thinking maybe we'll start at the beginning of chapter 2. I've already read chapter 1. And I've read a decent amount of chapter 2, but I wasn't focused. And so I'm going to try to focus on it. Notes. And let's just start a new one. New note. Reversing Hermon. And that is far too small, isn't it? I'm sure you guys can't see that. Let's make that bigger. Boom. Chapter 2. Alright. Feel free to interact with me in chat, guys. I'm just gonna be reading, or Microsoft David is gonna be reading to me.
2. The sin of the Watchers in 1 Enoch and other Enochian texts. Now that we know how to approach, or not, the biblical story of Genesis 6, 1 through 4, we need to see how Jewish writers of the Second Temple period understood the story. The exercise will not only be instructive and perhaps new to some readers, but will serve to provide a solid introduction to the key touchpoint for the present book, the story of the sin of the Watchers. By the end of this chapter, readers will see quite clearly that Second Temple Jews did not attempt to strip the supernatural elements from Genesis 6, 1 through 4, rather, they affirmed them. This in turn will prepare us for chapter 3, where we will go back in time to the original Mesopotamian context for Genesis 6, 1 through 4. At that point, the reader will be able to grasp a crucial fact for our study. Second Temple Jewish writers understood and preserved the original supernaturalist backstory from Mesopotamia. This literary inheritance explains why these Jewish authors wrote about Genesis 6, 1 through 4 the way they did. Since New Testament writers were a product of this theological and intellectual environment, it makes complete sense that they looked at the sin of Watchers the same way and that parts of the New Testament are best understood with this. 2. The sin of the watchers in 1 Enoch and other...
Oh, I shouldn't scroll.
Now that we know how to approach.
I learned that just now. Look, he tries to reset.
Testament are best understood with this in mind. A broad overview of 1 Enoch.
Okay, maybe I'll let him scroll.
It is advisable to get a feel for the whole book before drilling down into the story about the sin of the watchers. As I noted in the introduction, the term watcher is a biblical one, appearing in Daniel 4:13, 17, 23. The term is qualified by Holy One, Daniel 4:13, 23, and so watcher is not by default a term for an evil divine being. In 1 Enoch, the term is one of several used in place of sons of God in its retelling of the episode of Genesis 6:1-4. The book of 1 Enoch as we know it today is actually a composite literary work whose parts can be dated to different periods. The distinct sections are the book of the watchers, chapters 1-36, the book of parables, chapters 37-71, or the similitudes, the book of the luminaries, chapters 72-82, or the astronomical book, the book of dreams, chapters 83-90, the apocalypse of weeks, chapter 91:11-17, the epistle of Enoch, chapter 91:1-10, 92-105, the birth of Noah, chapters 106-107, another chapter of Enoch, chapter 108. With respect to the first section, the book of the watchers, 1 Enoch 1-36, the first 5 chapters basically serve as an introduction to the entire section. Our chief focus in this book, the story of the sin of the watchers, is found in chapters 6-16. John C. Collins describes the flow of the story this way. Chapters 6-16 tell the story of the watchers, in which two stories seem to be woven together. In one, the leader of the fallen angels is named Azazel, Azazel in the Ethiopic text, and the primary sin is improper revelation. In the other, the leader is Jehoiazin, and the primary sin is marriage with humans and procreation of giants. The watchers beget giants on earth by their union with human women. Out of these giants come evil spirits that lead humanity astray. 1 Enoch 15:11-12. This motif is elaborated further in Jubilees. In the short term, the crisis of the watchers is resolved when God sends the flood to cleanse the earth. Enoch is introduced in chapter 12 as a scribe whom the watchers ask to intercede for them. Enoch ascends to heaven on a cloud and comes before the heavenly throne in chapter 14, in a passage that is important for the history of Jewish mysticism. His intercession, however, is rejected. The watchers abandon heaven for the attraction of the flesh. Enoch represents the opposite tendency. He is a human being who is taken up to heaven to live with the angels. The rest of the book of the watchers, chapters 17-36, describes Enoch being taken on a cosmic tour to the ends of the earth by angels. It is on this heavenly journey that Enoch sees the places where the spirits of the dead are kept inside a mountain in 3 compartments, chapter 22, and Gehenna, chapters 26-27. In chapter 32, Enoch sees the Garden of Eden and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil from which Adam and Eve ate. Interestingly, while this section of the book of the watchers notes the sin of Adam, it considers it of lesser significance when compared to the sin of the watchers. The next major section, 1 Enoch 37-71, is called the book of parables. It is also known as the similitudes of Enoch. This is the only portion of the book for which there is no manuscript evidence from Qumran. The book includes 3 lengthy parables, 1 Enoch 38-44, 45-57, and 58-69. As Collins notes, the main theme is the coming judgment, when the righteous one appears before.
Just says on YouTube, your voice sounds like you're on slower speed or lower register, but the audio from logs sounds how it normally sounds on 2 times. I'm listening to it 2 times because I will not listen to it at this speed.
Humans and procreation of giants. The watchers beget giants
Look at him.
on earth by their union with human women.
Oh my goodness.
Out of these
I'm not doing that.
evil
Yeah, that's not
spirits
happening.
come evil spirits that lead humanity
That's why.
astray. Enoch 15:11-12. This motif is elaborated further in Jubilees. In the short term, the crisis of the watchers is resolved when God sends the flood to cleanse the earth. Enoch is introduced in chapter 12 as a scribe whom the watchers ask to intercede for them. Enoch ascends to heaven on a cloud and comes before the heavenly throne in chapter 14, in a passage that is important for the history of Jewish mysticism. His intercession, however, is rejected.
Come on, we already read this, dude. Let's keep going.
Interestingly, while this section of the book of the watchers notes the sin of Adam, it considers it of lesser significance when compared to the sin of the watchers.
I'm gonna listen real quick to my own audio. Let's keep going.
Interestingly, while this section of the book of the watchers notes the sin of Adam.
Yeah, that's interesting. I sound like a really deep voice. I'm talking and I'm talking and I'm talking and I'm talking and I'm talking. Yeah, that's interesting. I sound like a really deep voice. I'm talking and wow, man, I don't know why it's doing that. That's interesting. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. No, I need to probably look into if it's slicing out my higher pitch or something like that. Thanks for the feedback.
Edge of good and evil from which Adam and Eve ate. Interestingly, while this section of the book of the watchers notes the sin of Adam, it considers it of lesser significance when compared to the sin of the watchers. The next major section, 1 Enoch 37-71.
Man, Dave's struggling. Let's try this again. I can tell my computer's lagging. I don't know if I'm trying to push many bits or not. I wonder if I adjust the bit rate.
Interestingly,
it would fix it.
The watchers notes the sin of Adam. It considers it of lesser significance when compared to the sin of the watchers. The next major section, 1 Enoch 37-71, is called the book of parables. It is also known as the similitudes of Enoch. This is the only portion of the book for which there is no manuscript evidence from Qumran. The book includes 3 lengthy parables, 1 Enoch 38-44, 45-57, and 58-69. As Collins notes, the main theme is the coming judgment, when the righteous one appears before the chosen righteous whose works are weighed by the Lord of Spirits. 1 Enoch 38:2. Then the rulers of the earth will be dumbfounded and humble. The righteous one is also called the chosen one and that son of man who accompanies the head of days as in Daniel 7, 1 Enoch 46:1-2. The third section, 1 Enoch 72-82, is referred to by scholars as the astronomical book since its content deals with astronomical observations that are given a theological interpretation, particularly eschatological. In terms of manuscript data, it may be the oldest portion of what we now know as 1 Enoch. The so-called Book of Dreams, 1 Enoch 83-90, is the next section. Its content mirrors certain passages in Jeremiah 23, 31, 33, 50, Ezekiel 34, 37, and Daniel 2, 7-8, 10. Collins summarizes the visions. 1 Enoch 83-90 consists of two apocalypses. The first, in chapters 83-84, is a simple vision of cosmic destruction. The second, known as the animal apocalypse, is a complex allegory in which people are represented by animals. Adam is a white bull. Cain and Abel are black and red bullocks. Israel is sheep. In the period after the exile, the sheep are given over to 70 shepherds, representing the angelic patrons of the nations. The reign of these shepherds is divided into 4 periods, which are allotted 12, 23, 23, and 12 shepherds, respectively. At the end of the third period, we are told that small lambs were born from these white sheep, and they began to open their eyes. 1 Enoch 96. This is generally taken to refer to the Hasidim who supported Judas Maccabeus. Judas is represented by a great horn that grew on one of the sheep. Eventually God comes down and sets up his throne for judgment. The watchers and the 70 shepherds are destroyed, but so are the blind sheep, or apostate Jews. Those who had been destroyed are brought back, presumably by resurrection, and all are transformed into white bulls, the condition of Adam and the early patriarchs. This apocalypse was evidently written at the time of the Maccabean revolt by people who supported the Maccabees. The very short apocalypse of weeks, 91:11-17, follows. Its similarity to Daniel 9:24-27 is obvious. The short portion records what Enoch saw in a heavenly vision and understood from the tablets of heaven.
The 70, I think 70 is an interesting number. I'm going to actually open up the Unseen Realm, because I remember him talking about the 70 being significant. And I want to dig into it. So I'm going to search internally for, I don't know if he typed out or he just used the number. Yeah, 7 years. And we'll go filter, highlight, search result right here. So during those 70 years, no. It is interesting to note the number of nations listed in Genesis 10 is 70. You are right, Mike Heiser. That is interesting to note. I had to pull that over. It is interesting to note the number of the nations listed in Genesis 10 is 70. This is precisely the number of the sons of El in the divine council at Ugarit. This number, in the context of the disinheritance of the nations, will surface later in our discussion of the Gospels. Let's go to Genesis 10. Go to old Genesis 10. Let's see. High CPU usage detected. You may be experiencing performance issues. You don't say. Maybe that's what the low register is. Maybe that's what low register is. I need to push less bits. That might be the answer to solving this problem. But let's look at the 70. Let's keep looking. This 70 number is significant, and I need to figure it out. Recall in our discussion of Deuteronomy 32:8-9, I mentioned the number of the nations disinherited by Yahweh at the judgment of Babel was 70. Let's go 156. Let's see that. The number is telling. Israel's nearest religious competition, the worship of El, Baal, Asherah, at Ugarit and in Canaan held their divine council, had 70 sons. When Yahweh disinherited the nations and allotted them to the sons of God, a theological gauntlet was thrown down. Yahweh alone commands the nations and their gods. Other gods serve him. That's an interesting idea. Let's continue. He continues right here. The Exodus shortly follows that theological punch in the nose with another. Not only is Israel Yahweh's son and portion on earth, but Israel is to be governed by a special group of 70 under Moses, and later the Israelite king, who is Yahweh's enthroned son. Shortly after crossing through the sea, Moses and Israel encountered Jethro. The account is recorded in Exodus 18. Assigned people to govern the people. 70 elders drawn from a larger group, as are the Elohim of Yahweh's council, given different ranks and tasks. The sons of God with authority over the nations were assigned that role, but they became corrupt, and the object of the sentencing in Psalm 82. I'm going to listen to my audio real quick again. They became corrupt, and the object of the sentencing in Psalm 82. Yeah, I don't know why my voice is so deep. It's not really that deep in practice. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to restart the stream with lower bitrate, which should put less... It should be less taxing on my CPU, which should maybe allow for better compression or something like that. So, I'm going to restart real quick. And okay. I'm going to try this out. Got a lower bitrate going on, which might be better, might not be better, don't know. Testing, check 1 2, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Which might be better, might not be better, don't know. Testing. I feel like that sounds better. Yeah, I feel like that sounds a lot better. Huh. Who would have thunk? Lower the bitrate. I wonder if the quality is taking a dive now. These are the challenges of streaming 4K. I probably shouldn't even do it. I probably should just stream 1080p. But I have the capability, so might as well try for now. Might as well try. Alright, let's see.
Saw in a heavenly vision and understood from the tablets of heaven.
Yeah, I'm not going to keep reading that yet. I got to keep digging into this 70 because it's a very significant number. The imagery has a distinct meaning. God is starting his intended Edenic rule with Israel. Israel will have a single earthly leader, eventually the Messianic king, an ultimate offspring of Eve, and a council of 70. The number telegraphs that, as the kingdom of God is reestablished on earth, the 70 nations will be reclaimed, a process that begins with the ministry of Jesus and will continue to the end of days. So I actually need to go into 70 when I preach my next message. So here's what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to create, this isn't going to be reversing Hermon. This is going to be, I do hate how Logos Notes defaults your font. That's not fun. This is going to be Spiritual Warfare 3. And what I'm going to do here, I don't know my text yet, but I know the 70 is going to be relevant. Follow 70 nations, because I'm going to end this Sunday's sermon with talking about Babel and then moving on from there. Again, real quick, I'm just going to check my audio and make sure that don't have that super deep voice. But I know the 70. It's still there a little bit. Is going to be relevant. Yeah, I'm gonna do this one more time. I'm gonna drop the bitrate yet again, and I might drop 4K. I might stop streaming 4K and just go to 1080p.